I moved in on a Wednesday. It was already raining by the time I carried the first box in, and it hasn't really stopped since. Light at first, a kind of whisper against the roof. Then steady. Then punishing. The kind of rain that seems personal. Like it wants to keep you inside. Keep you listening. The house smells like paper and mildew. My aunt died here, in the bathtub. Some article I read said most drownings happen in silence, no splashing or struggle, just a slipping under. I remember that whenever I look at the drain. The house is small. Just 2 bedrooms, a kitchen with fake marble counters, a living room with that kind of green carpet that never looks clean. It's old, but not ancient. Nothing gothic or creaky. Just old enough to have a history, and quiet enough that you start noticing the sounds it makes. It was the 3rd night when I heard the tapping. At first I thought it was rain on the window, but it had a rhythm. Not random. Not natural. Just tap. Pause. Tap tap. Pause. Tap. Like someone learning how to knock. I turned off the music on my phone. Just to hear it better. I told myself it was probably the pipes, old plumbing in cold weather. That's what everyone says, right? Old house noises. But the sound wasn't in the walls. Not exactly. It felt like it was around the walls. Following me. In the kitchen, it was near the ceiling. In the bedroom, by the vent. In the bathroom, behind the mirror. I didn't mention it to anyone. What was I going to say? Hey, the house is talking to me through the plumbing. No thanks. The rain got heavier the next day. I had towels rolled up along the back door to stop the seep. Even still, water crept in like it belonged here. And maybe it did. Everything felt wet. I started wearing socks indoors just to avoid that awful cold squish from the floorboards. That night, I stayed up reading. Something dumb and familiar. Trying to ignore the feeling that the taps were back, not louder, just smarter. I clapped twice to test the sound. Nothing. Then I whispered, "Hello?" Tap. Pause. Tap. Tap. I froze. Not out of fear. It was worse than that, I felt watched. As if something had been waiting for me to notice it. To speak first. I went to bed with my earbuds in. Played ocean sounds on loop. Funny, right? Like the water would drown out the water. The following morning, I noticed a stain under the hallway light switch. At first I thought it was just the paint peeling, but when I touched it, my finger came back wet. There was no leak. No smell. Just a perfect little oval-shaped patch of dampness, like the wall had been sweating. I wiped it. Later that day, it came back. I had a friend from college, Lena, who still lived nearby. She came by that afternoon to drop off some books. While she was here, I asked, casual as I could. "You ever hear anything weird when you were here? Like, water noises? Tapping?" She frowned. "Like mice?" "No, not scratching. More like, I made the sound with my knuckles on the table. That. But not regular." She shrugged. "Pipes maybe? The rain's been insane." Yeah. That was it. The rain. That night, the house felt closer. Like the walls were tighter, the ceiling lower. The smell of damp was everywhere now, behind the fridge, under the sink, in the vents. It got inside me. I dreamed of basements I'd never seen, ankle-deep in black water, and something whispering just beneath the surface. I woke up gasping. It was 3:11 a.m. I remember because I looked at the clock, and for a moment, I thought it was blinking. And then, right on cue. Tap. Pause. Tap tap. Pause. Tap. I didn't move. I just lay there, perfectly still, listening. Then I whispered again. "Who are you?" No answer. Of course not. But the tapping stopped. Which was somehow worse. The next day, I noticed something new. The drip in the laundry room, it wasn't random. I stood there, recording it with my phone for a minute. When I played it back, it just sounded like water. But then I looped it. Listened again. And again. The rhythm wasn't just rhythm. It was breath. Inhale. Exhale. Slow. Careful. Timed with mine. I turned off the recorder. Closed the door. And stayed out of that room for the rest of the day. I told myself I was tired. My brain was probably just trying to make sense of chaos. A kind of internal pattern seeking. People hear faces and static, why not hear breathing and plumbing? I believed that for a few hours. But now I'm lying in bed, writing this in a notes app on my phone, and it's back. Not tapping. Not tonight. Now it's dripping. Constant. And it's not coming from the faucet. Or the tub. It's coming from the walls. And I swear to God. It's getting closer. I bought the recorder on impulse. It wasn't some ghost hunting gadget, just a cheap digital voice recorder from the drugstore, the kind meant for lectures or interviews. I told myself I was being scientific, rational. I just wanted to hear it clearly, maybe prove it was just background noise or plumbing pressure. That's all. Nothing weird. But deep down, I think I wanted it to answer. I left it running overnight in the hallway. Outside the laundry room. The next morning, I listened while I made coffee. The rain was still going, a little softer now, but steady. Like it had settled into a rhythm. Like it was part of the house. The recording started quiet. Just static, creaks, distant thumps. Then, about 2 hours in, something new, dripping, slow and wet. Then, faint, a tap. Pause. Tap tap. Tap. Then nothing. Then, my own voice. A whisper. Who are you? Followed by 3 seconds of silence. Then, 1, 2, 3 taps. I dropped the recorder. I didn't remember saying anything out loud. I thought I'd just thought the question. But it was there. In my voice. On the recording. And the taps, they came after. It was answering. I didn't sleep that night. Not because I was scared, but because I was focused. My brain kept looping that sound. The timing. The repetition. It wasn't Morse code. It wasn't nonsense either. It felt deliberate. Like someone trying to teach me their language. I listened to the same 10 seconds over and over. Adjusted pitch. Slowed it down. Matched it to breath cycles. And then I started to hear syllables. Not words, not yet, but syllables. Something between MMM and eh. I swear I heard it say Mel. And I didn't feel afraid. I felt seen. The next day, I noticed something else. The mold. It had started forming above the baseboard in my bedroom, thin black lines and strange, jagged curves. Not natural blotches. More like strokes. Like writing. I tried wiping them off with bleach, but by the next morning, they came back, in different patterns. Sharper. Longer. I took pictures. Compared them. The shapes weren't random. I think they were matching the taps. That was the first time I heard it when it wasn't raining. Middle of the afternoon, no thunder, no wind, just a heavy silence, the kind you feel in your teeth. I was in the living room when it happened. One loud tap behind the wall. Then another. Slower this time. Not urgent. I leaned in close to the wall. Held my breath. And whispered. Say it again. Nothing. I felt stupid. Then embarrassed. I turned away, and that's when I heard it. Right behind me. Close. Wet. Whispered. Mel. I spun around, but there was nothing. Just the bookshelf. The window. The long, warped water stains snaking across the ceiling like a vein. I stopped leaving the house. I told friends I was working on a deadline. That I wasn't feeling well. That the roads were bad. All technically true. I just didn't want to be away. Not from the sound. It needed me here. It was teaching me something. That night, the power went out. No warning, just a sharp buzz from the fridge, a flicker, and then total blackness. The kind that swallows you. I lit a candle and sat on the floor. I didn't move. Didn't breathe. And it came. Not from the wall this time. From the floorboards beneath me. Tap, pause, tap, tap, pause, tap. Then something new. Drip. Drip. Tap. Drip. Tap, tap. I closed my eyes and matched it with my breath. Matched it with my heartbeat. The rhythm slowed, and then synced. With me. It felt like being held underwater. Not drowning, not yet, but suspended. Waiting for permission to rise. I whispered. What do you want? Nothing. Then, a response. Not in words. Not in sound. In sensation. The cold rose through the floor and into my legs. A chill, wet pressure like someone gripping my calves from beneath the house. Holding tight. Like they'd finally found me. I stood up fast and the feeling vanished. Like steam. I dreamed of the bathtub again. But this time, I wasn't in it. I was standing over it, watching as the water rose past the edges, up the tile, along the mirror. And in the water, something was waiting. Not a figure. Not a face. Just awareness. A weight. Like thought without shape. And it was looking directly at me. The next morning, I found the recorder had moved. It was no longer in the laundry room. It was outside my bedroom door. And it was still recording. I played it back, trembling. 3:11 a.m., silence. Then a single word. Listen. Not mine. Not human. But it spoke. To me. It's been 5 days since I've gone outside. The rain hasn't stopped. It doesn't even storm anymore, it just pours steadily, endlessly, like background noise that starts to replace your thoughts. The mold on the walls now stretches across the corners like veins. My phone battery's at 11%. I haven't charged it. I haven't needed to. I'm not calling anyone. It's not like they'd understand. The message is almost complete. Last night, the sound changed. No more tapping. No more dripping. Now it breathes. Slow, thick inhalations, like lungs filled with river water. And it's inside the walls. Not just in one room, but the whole house, like it's crawling beneath the paint, just beneath the surface, always just behind me. I sit in the hallway, candle flickering, the recorder in my lap. My fingers are pruned. My skin smells like rot. Even when I dry off, I never feel dry. The walls sweat with me. I press record. I say, I'm ready. There's no delay this time. The house exhales. I don't remember falling asleep. Only waking up. 3:11 a.m. The number glows red on the microwave, even though the power's out. I check the breakers. Everything's dead. No hum. No current. But the clock is glowing. 3:11. Always 3:11. I walk to the bathroom. It's the first time I've opened that door since the mold spread up the mirror. Since I started hearing the water talk back. I reach out and flip the light switch even though I know it's useless. The bulb flickers on. Just once. Then goes dark again. The bathtub is full. I never ran the water. It's brimming, perfectly still, but dark, too dark. The water's black, like oil or ink, with nothing reflecting back. Not even me. I lean closer, waiting to see my face, but it never appears. Instead, I see something else. Not a person. Not a body. A shape, pressed into the surface like a hand behind a curtain. It moves when I move, but not in sync, like it's trying to match my pace but doesn't understand how. It's mimicking me. Learning me. Becoming me. I should be terrified. But all I feel is understood. The voice is clearer now. It doesn't need the pipes. Or the rain. Or the recorder. It speaks inside my skull, like pressure from the inside out, shaping my thoughts as I think them. Not words. Just intent. It wants me in the water. It doesn't say why. It doesn't threaten. It just waits. Like it knows I'll do it. I sit on the edge of the tub and dip one finger in. It's warm. Too warm. The way bath water feels when someone else has just gotten out. And I swear, when I touch it, I hear laughter. Not loud. Not unkind. Just pleased. When I pull my hand back, my skin is pale. Waterlogged. Like I've been in there for hours. But it was only a second. Wasn't it? I stagger out of the bathroom. The hallway stretches too long. The ceiling is dripping now, not just one spot. All of it. The house is weeping. I check the recorder. It's already on. It's been recording for hours. And there's breathing. But it's not mine. I rewind. Play it back from the beginning. At first, taps. Then drips. Then me, whispering. Hello? Who are you? What do you want? I'm ready. Then silence. And then, layered over my words, barely perceptible, something else, something behind the sound. A second voice. Slower. Wet. We are learning. I go to the bedroom window. I don't know what I expect to see. But there's nothing outside now. Just a gray wall of rain. No trees. No streetlights. No sound except the endless hiss of water. It's like the world has been erased. Like the house is the only thing left. Like I've already crossed over. Back in the hallway, the walls ripple. Not visibly. Not physically. But I feel it. Like a pulse under the drywall. The way a throat tightens before it speaks. Then, from every direction at once. Come in. The bathtub is waiting. The water is high. The mirror is fogged over, even though the air is cold. I step inside. Not into the tub. Into the reflection. It gives way like a membrane. Like the surface of a pond. There's no splash. No struggle. Just the silence of drowning. I'm somewhere else now. Not a place. A memory. A vessel. I see my aunt, floating. Her mouth is open, but she's not breathing. She's listening. Behind her, in the dark water, shapes move. Limbs without bodies. Faces without eyes. All of them trying to say something, but the words don't form. They need me to speak for them. I wake up. I'm on the bathroom floor, soaked. The tub is empty. But my body feels different. Looser. Like something's rearranged inside me. The mirror is clean now. No mold. No streaks. Just my face. And behind it, just for a second, I see another. Not a reflection. A watcher. It doesn't copy me. It waits for me to copy it. The recorder is still running. I pick it up. And press stop. But it doesn't stop. It keeps recording. Even when it's turned off. I don't leave the house anymore. I don't need to. The language is almost complete. It speaks in everything now, the dripping, the mildew, the flicker of light. It's inside the walls. Inside me. And every night at 3:11 a.m. It says my name. And this time, I answer. I didn't notice him until after dinner. He was standing at the end of our driveway, just behind the mailbox, half shadowed by the street lamp. Small. Still. Face angled slightly down. Just standing there in the rain. At first, I figured he was some neighborhood kid who got locked out or lost. I cracked open the front door, called out, "Hey, you okay?" He didn't look up. Didn't move. The rain hit him like it wasn't there. Not even a flinch. It wasn't that unusual to see kids around. The Carlsons had 4, always playing hockey in the cul-de-sac. The Romero's grandkid was visiting last week. But I didn't recognize this one. He was small. 7, maybe 8. Wearing this thick, red raincoat. Looked vintage. Out of place. Like something from an old Christmas photo. And there was something else. Even from the porch, even through the rain, I could swear. He looked exactly like me. Or rather, how I used to look. When I was maybe 7. Same mop of dark hair. Same pale skin. Even that little tilt in his chin when he stood still. But the thing that hit hardest? He had a chipped front tooth. And I didn't know how to explain how I knew that. I closed the door. Not slammed. Just shut it. Slowly. My skin felt weird, hot and cold at the same time. I went to the window, pulled the curtain back. He was still there. Same spot. Same position. Only now? His head was up. Staring directly at the house. I called the Carlsons. Mrs. Carlson answered, a little distracted. "Hi, this is Evan, from across the street. Is one of your kids outside right now?" A pause. Rain buzzed softly on the line like static. "No, they're at their cousin's." "Why?" "No reason. I just thought I saw someone." I didn't call my parents. They were probably sipping wine at a fundraiser 3 towns over and wouldn't be home until morning. Mom would overreact. Dad would say it was probably just my imagination, or a neighbor's kid playing pretend. I watched the boy for another 10 minutes. He didn't move. Didn't blink. Just stared. And even though I kept the curtains half closed, I swear his eyes followed me. At 9:47 p.m., the headlights came on. Across the street. A pickup truck. I hadn't noticed it before, but it had been sitting there all evening. Same kind my dad used to own before the Camry. It rumbled low, headlights on, pointing straight at our house. But no one was in the driver's seat. I leaned closer to the window. The truck's dashboard was lit. There was something propped on the passenger seat. A framed photo? I grabbed the binoculars we kept by the bookshelf, an old pair from Dad's college hunting days. Focused in. It was a photo. A photo of me. I dropped the binoculars. Lights flickered. Outside, the boy was gone. I ran to the door and flung it open, rain hitting me like a slap. Driveway, empty. Mailbox, wet. Street, deserted. No boy. No truck. Just puddles and that electric smell of storm-soaked asphalt. Then I looked down. Footprints. Small, bare footprints on the welcome mat. Leading into the house. I backed up, heart hammering. Shut the door. Locked it. Deadbolt too. Tried to calm my breathing. Maybe I imagined it. Maybe I sleepwalked. Maybe I've been watching too many reruns of Unsolved Mysteries. I went to the sink to splash water on my face, then paused. The faucet was already dripping. Steady. Like it had been, for hours. That's when the phone rang. Landline. Corded. We only kept it for emergencies. I answered. No one spoke. Just rain. But not real rain. Not from outside. The sound was recorded. Repeating. And underneath it, faintly. You called us, at 6:13 p.m. A whisper. Child's voice. I looked at the clock. It was 10:03. "I didn't call anyone," I said, voice dry. The voice replied. "Yes. You did." From inside the house. Click. Dial tone. Then silence. I didn't sleep. I didn't try to. I sat in the hallway with the lights on and a kitchen knife across my lap, even though I wasn't sure what I expected to do with it. Whatever this was, a prank, a breakdown, a ghost, a memory, it didn't feel like something I could stab. Sometime after midnight, the rain let up a little. Not quiet, just softer, gentler. Like someone whispering instead of screaming. And I swear to God, I could hear footsteps. Not loud. Just enough to make the floor creak in a different room every few minutes. Never mine. Always somewhere I wasn't. The floorboards in this house were old. But they never creaked like that when I was the only one here. I started thinking about that photo in the truck. My face. Framed. How could I be sure it was me? It was fast. The rain blurred the glass. But I saw the same shirt I wore in second grade, blue flannel with one sleeve shorter than the other. I had begged Mom to throw it out after I fell on the playground and tore it. But we never did throw it out. She kept it in the attic, with the baby clothes and photo boxes and things she called too sentimental. At 2:16 a.m., I went up to the attic. I hadn't been up there in over a year. The pull-down stairs groaned like they didn't want to wake up. The bulb was already on when I climbed through the hatch. I hadn't turned it on. The light buzzed overhead. The air was still, warm, filled with dust that didn't seem to settle. Boxes everywhere. Labeled with masking tape, Evan Birth 25, school stuff, Smas decor, Mom's memories. And then, near the back wall, one box without a label. Just faint pen marks where a label used to be. I opened it. Inside, a framed photo. Me, second grade. The chipped tooth. Blue flannel. Standing next to the old backyard tree before it was cut down. Same photo. Same frame. But the glass was cracked. Behind the frame was a note, yellowed and crumpled. Don't show him. That's all. No context. No name. Just that. Don't show him. Don't show me. When I came back downstairs, I went to the bathroom and turned on the light. That's when I saw it. The mirror didn't match me. It was subtle, barely noticeable at first. But the reflection of my face blinked before I did. I froze. And so did it. We stared at each other for a full minute. And then, slowly, the reflection smiled. I didn't. I turned off the light. Walked out. Shut the door. Didn't open it again that night. At 3:11 a.m., I heard something wet hit the kitchen floor. A slap. Then another. Footsteps. Bare. Small. Slow. I peeked around the corner from the hallway. Nothing there. No wet footprints. No boy. But the fridge was open. And on the floor, a toy. Small. Plastic. A blue dinosaur with one missing eye. I hadn't seen that thing since I was 6. I lost it in the woods behind my old house when we moved. And it was wet. At 4:45 a.m., I finally fell asleep on the couch. When I woke up, the sun was trying to break through the clouds. The rain had stopped. The roads were slick and gray. Birds chirped, awkward and hesitant, like they weren't sure it was safe yet. I went to the front window. No boy. No truck. No footprints. Just the street. Empty. And for a second, just a second, I thought maybe it really was a dream. A bad, weird dream stitched from stress and storms and isolation. But when I went to the mirror again, my reflection still wasn't right. Not wrong, exactly. Just delayed. Like it wasn't me anymore. Like it was someone else watching through a familiar shape. The phone rang again. Same landline. Same dull ring. I let it ring 6 times before answering. This time, there was no rain sound. Only breathing. Then, a voice. We lived here first. Then silence. Then a click. I unplugged the phone. Didn't help. That night, around 10 o'clock, I passed the hallway mirror and saw something that made me stop cold. In the reflection, my bedroom door was open. In real life, it was closed. I turned slowly, heart pounding. In the real hallway, the door remained shut. But in the reflection, it stayed wide open. And a child stood inside. Not just any child. Me. 7 years old. Blue flannel shirt. Chipped tooth. Wet hair. And he was holding the photo from the attic. I blinked. The door was shut. The hallway was empty. I tried to call my parents. Cell was dead. Landline still unplugged. I grabbed the receiver anyway, habit. Put it to my ear. There was no dial tone. Only a whisper. Come outside. I opened the front door. Rain had started again. Not heavy. Just insistent. The kind of rain that gets under your collar, down your spine. There, at the end of the driveway, was the boy. Me. Exactly me. And this time, he waved. He waved at me like we knew each other. Not just the kind of wave you give to a stranger, but something slower, deeper. The kind you give to someone who hasn't come home in a long time. And he didn't stop waving. Even as I stepped out onto the porch. Even as I crossed the front walk barefoot, the rain soaking through my shirt, sticking it to my skin like cold glue. Even as I stood just a few feet away from him. The boy looked up. And I looked down. Because he was me. Not sort of. Exactly. Same chipped tooth. Same flannel shirt, worn, washed 100 times, the right sleeve hanging just a little higher than the left. But there was one difference. His eyes. They weren't mine. They were tired. Not scared. Not wide like a kid should be. Just tired. Like someone who'd been waiting in the rain for a very, very long time. Who are you? I asked. He didn't answer. He turned around, walked up the driveway without a sound, and entered the house. Without opening the door. When I got back inside, the floor was dry. No puddles. No muddy footprints. No sound but the low hum of the fridge, working again, somehow. Power back on. The digital clock on the microwave blinked. 3:11 a.m. Again. Always 3:11. Even when it couldn't be. The lights were on in my bedroom. I hadn't left them that way. I crept down the hall, the knife still in my hand. Useless, I knew, but it made me feel like I still had agency. Like I could defend something. The door was cracked. Just a sliver of light slipping out into the dark hallway. I pushed it open with my foot. The boy stood beside my bed, facing the wall. He was touching it, palming the drywall like it was made of skin. I took a step inside. The air changed. Heavy. Wet. Thick with memory. He turned around slowly. And smiled. I remember this, he said, in my voice but higher. Younger. He pointed to the bookshelf. Where you kept the dinosaur. You cried when it was gone. I didn't answer. I remember the treehouse. The night you hid there during the storm. You thought they forgot about you. I swallowed. My throat was dry, but my arms were damp. I remember the blood, he added softly. The time you fell off the bike. You lied about where it happened. I stepped back. This wasn't just someone who looked like me. He was me. Not a ghost. Not a hallucination. Not exactly. Something else. Something that stayed here when I left. This house remembers, he said. Even when you don't. I tried to speak, but I couldn't find the words. Did you think forgetting made you free? He took a step toward me. The bruises, he said. The yelling. The quiet dinners. The door locks. You forgot all of it. You scrubbed it clean. Another step. But it stayed here. I stayed here. I backed into the hallway. He followed. You don't get to run from it. Not forever. He stopped at the mirror. The hallway won. He reached toward it, and this time, his reflection didn't match him. It was me. The current me. I stared at myself. But I didn't blink. My reflection did. It smiled. And said, with both our voices. We lived here first. I ran. Downstairs. Into the basement. I don't know why. Maybe I thought it would be safer underground. Maybe I thought I could hide, like I used to. Behind the furnace, where the shadows never moved. But when I got there, I saw the photo album. The one I'd never opened. It was lying on the concrete floor, soaking wet, pages open. Page after page of me. But not how I remembered. Birthday parties I didn't have. Injuries I never got. Faces of people I didn't know, touching me, hugging me, holding me like I was theirs. And on the last page. A photo of the boy. Alone. On the porch. Waving. He was already behind me when I turned around. You don't remember any of it, he whispered. I don't want to, I said. I know. He held out his hand. Then give it back. I didn't know what he meant. Not until the lights flickered. Not until my body began to feel distant. Like I was stepping backward from myself. Like I was sinking into water. I looked down at my hands. They were smaller. The flannel sleeves longer. The room taller. No, I was shorter. And in the corner of the room, standing over the photo album, was me. 15-year-old Evan. Holding the knife. Looking around like he didn't know where he was. He didn't see me. He walked past me. Up the stairs. Into the house. And I tried to call out, but my voice was wrong. Thinner. Younger. Trapped. I followed him, but the door shut in my face. Then vanished. Now I'm here. In the house. Same as before, but not the same. I'm not seen. I'm not heard. Only remembered. And outside, it's always raining. The front door never opens. The clock always says 3:11. And every few years, another version of me shows up. And I wave. There was no second floor when I moved in. I would have noticed. I'm not oblivious. The place is old, sure, but not labyrinthine. Just an L-shaped farmhouse with a basement, a loft, and one creaky bedroom. One floor. No staircase. I mapped it all out in the listing. I even measured it. So when the power cut out during last night's storm, and I went looking for the fuse box with a flashlight, I did not expect to find a staircase. It wasn't hidden. That's the part that really messed with me. It wasn't behind a door or a panel or tucked in a crawlspace. It was just there. Plain as anything. A narrow staircase just beyond the coat rack, where there'd only ever been a solid wall. Wooden steps, dusty, old, carved with strange gouges like someone had been dragging nails along them for years. I stood there for 5 full minutes just shining the flashlight up, waiting to wake up. I didn't. So I went up. The air changed halfway up the stairs. The kind of cold that doesn't just hit your skin, but settles into your teeth. There was a low hum, like distant power lines, even though the power was still out. And at the top? A door. Closed. Weathered. The kind with a handle that doesn't turn but instead pushes in like an old cellar latch. I pushed. And the sound hit me. Static. Soft. Constant. The exact pitch of a TV on a dead channel. The room beyond was pitch dark except for a low red glow from a device in the corner. I stepped in, heart knocking in my chest, and closed the door behind me. The static didn't get louder. But it became aware. The glow came from a small radio. 1970s model. Wooden sides. Plastic knobs. I know this because I remember one just like it on my grandfather's nightstand when I was a kid. He used to fall asleep listening to it, tuned halfway between stations. But that radio was buried with him. This one looked identical. It sat on a table in the middle of the otherwise empty room. No furniture. No dust. No spiderwebs. No windows. Only the sound. I walked up to it. And I unplugged it. The static kept going. The flashlight flickered. Died. I used my phone screen to light the way out. But the door was gone. Just blank wall where I had come in. I turned in a slow circle, phone raised, breathing too fast, telling myself I was dreaming. That I had sleepwalked. That maybe this was just a storage attic I hadn't noticed. But I couldn't find corners in the room. The walls weren't flat. They curved. Gently. Subtly. Like I was inside something alive. I sat down. Tried not to panic. Tried not to listen too closely to the static. But that's when I heard it. A voice. Not words. Not at first. Just something underneath the sound. A suggestion of speech. The rhythm of breath, shaped into almost syllables. Then, faintly. You shouldn't be here. I froze. Who? Nothing. Then, a little louder. If you leave, you won't leave whole. I backed away from the radio. And the static followed me. Not louder. Closer. Like it was adjusting itself around me. When the flashlight blinked back on for a second, the room looked smaller. The walls were closer than they had been. I made my way to where I thought the door had been, running my hands along the wall. Nothing. No seam. No frame. No way out. Then behind me. Do you remember what he said to you? On the porch? Before he died? I spun. No. But I did. I hadn't thought about that moment in years. Grandpa. Sitting in the chair, a blanket over his knees, staring out at the fields. You don't ever open that room, he'd said, pointing to a spot in the house that didn't exist. It remembers too much. I dropped my phone. The light went out again. The static surged. And beneath it, another voice joined. Not his. Someone younger. Female. Maybe even me. Crying. Then, light. The power surged back on. The bulb overhead flickered to life. I was back in the regular hallway. The staircase behind me was gone. The coat rack stood where it always had. But the hem of my jeans was wet. And I could still hear faint static in my ear, like an echo. I checked the time. It was 4:18 a.m. But I'd only gone to the fuse box at 1 o'clock. I had no idea where the last 3 hours had gone. The next morning, the staircase was gone. I stood in the hallway for 20 minutes, running my hand along the wall behind the coat rack, pressing, tapping, listening. Nothing. Solid drywall. Same scuff marks. Same crooked baseboard. But I remembered the stairs. The room. The static. And I remembered the voice. If you leave, you won't leave whole. I didn't know what that meant. I still don't. But I stayed. I didn't tell anyone. Who would I tell? My mom thinks I'm still processing things after quitting my job and moving out here. My friends don't even know I'm still in Montana. I told them I was going back to the city last week. It's easier this way. Easier to explain things to no one. Besides, a part of me didn't want to be talked out of it. That afternoon, the static came back. Not from the room. From the radio in the kitchen. A modern one. Bluetooth, clean. I use it for podcasts. It turned itself on. Volume low. Just barely audible beneath the sound of the rain. White noise. Steady, soft. Nothing distinct. I turned it off. It turned itself back on. Same volume. Same tone. But this time, something else under the static. A low clicking, like fingernails on glass. Then, breath. Then, a voice. Dana. I unplugged the radio and threw it in the cabinet. I tried to leave. I swear I did. I packed a bag. Keys in hand. Opened the front door. The rain came down in sheets, blinding, unnatural. I've seen storms. I've driven through blizzards, hail, even black ice in Minneapolis. This wasn't weather. It was like the air itself didn't want me gone. Like the road beyond the house no longer existed. I stepped out anyway. Got as far as the fence line. And then I heard my grandfather's voice again, plain as day. Not yelling. Not echoing. Just standing right beside me. You won't come back the same. I turned around. No one there. Back inside, the house felt tighter. Smaller. The hallway light flickered when I passed beneath it. I looked at myself in the mirror, not expecting anything. Just wanting to check if I looked crazy. But my reflection didn't blink. It stared back, steady and wrong. And behind me, in the mirror, just for a second, the door to the static room stood open. I turned. Nothing there. Just the coat rack. Just the wall. That night, I sat in the den with the fireplace on. No music. No phone. Just the fire and the storm and the sound of the house settling around me. Then the shortwave radio in the corner clicked on. I didn't even know it worked. It hissed. Buzzed. Skipped. Then a voice, broken through static. It's always been here. I approached slowly. Who are you? No answer. Just breathing. Then. Don't ask questions you're not ready to finish. The fire flickered blue for a second. I swear it did. Then the power went out again. I waited. 5 minutes. 10. Then the sound began. From upstairs. From the room that shouldn't be there. The sound of something moving inside a room with no furniture. No floors. Just static. Dragging. Slow. Like fabric across wood. I lit a candle. Took the flashlight. There was no staircase. So I turned away. And the staircase was there. Right behind me. I went up. The door opened for me this time. Inside, the static was louder, richer. The radio glowed red on the same old table. But this time, the walls were covered in photographs. All of me. Hundreds. Pinned, overlapping, curling at the edges. Some were from childhood, birthday hats, playgrounds, first bike. Others were more recent, photos I never posed for, never took. Me brushing my teeth. Me sleeping. Me staring out the kitchen window. One photo was dated tomorrow. I was standing in the hallway mirror, smiling. But in the photo, my eyes were closed. The radio buzzed louder. I stepped closer. The static cracked into something clearer. A woman's voice this time. Dana. Don't leave the room tonight. It's learning your shape. Then silence. Then a second voice, my voice, echoed beneath it. I'm still here. I grabbed the radio and threw it against the wall. It broke apart, plastic and wires everywhere. The static did not stop. It hung in the air like smoke. Buzzing through my teeth. Through the floor. Through the walls. Through me. I closed my eyes. Tried to remember something specific, anything. The sound of my mother's voice on the phone. The taste of coffee from the place on 7th Street. My email password. But nothing came. Only static. Only the room. Only the voice, whispering. If you leave now, we can still forget together. I didn't sleep. There's no sleep in a house like this, not when the walls hum and the air itself feels like it's thinking. The rain hasn't stopped in days. At least, I think it's been days. I stopped checking the calendar. The clocks are useless now. Some run backward. Others freeze. One just spins. I know it's night only because the world outside the windows is black, and the static is louder. It's always louder at night. I boarded up the coat rack wall. Nailed furniture across it. Stacked chairs. It doesn't matter. The staircase still appears. Sometimes in the hall. Sometimes in the kitchen. Once, inside the bathroom mirror. It wants me upstairs. And I go. Because resisting has only made things worse. The room has changed. No more photos. Now it's full of objects. Small, meaningless things at first, a single glove, a coffee cup, a cracked phone with no signal. Things I once owned. Lost. Forgot. Then came the deeper things. My journal. A drawing I made when I was 6 of the farmhouse burning. A baby tooth in a film canister. Then the worst. A voicemail. Playing on loop. My voice. Crying. I don't want to forget. Please don't make me forget. But I don't remember saying it. The radio is still broken. But the static remains. In everything. The floorboards creak in Morse-like rhythms. The pipes hiss with white noise. Even when I press my ear to the wall, I can hear it, the voice beneath it. She's almost ready. Sometimes I hear my grandfather pacing upstairs. Sometimes I hear myself. Not as I am. As I was. Reading aloud. Laughing. Screaming. Memories that never happened, yet I remember them all the same. This house is full of memories that never belonged to me. And it's making room for more. Last night, I opened the door and stepped inside. This time, the room was a mirror. Not metaphorically, literally. Every surface reflective. And in the center of it all, sitting where the radio once was. Me. Back turned. Same hair. Same posture. Same scar on the arm from falling off the porch at 10. I whispered, "Who are you?" She didn't turn. Instead, she said, "You left too much behind." I circled slowly. She didn't move. Didn't blink. When I stood in front of her, I saw it. She was me. But not as I am. Her eyes were vacant. Like someone had hit pause on a thought just before it finished forming. She blinked once. Then said, "Now I remember everything." Then she vanished. Not all at once. In pieces. A flicker of static at the shoulder. Then her hand. Then her face. Until nothing remained but a faint buzz in the chair. I ran. Tried to leave the house. Made it outside. All the way to the edge of the field. And then I blacked out. When I woke up, I was back inside. Lying on the floor of the hallway. But something was wrong. My hands didn't feel like mine. They were smooth. Unscarred. My left pinky, which I broke in high school and never healed right, it was straight. I ran to the mirror. It was me. But not me. Not exactly. And behind me, in the reflection, the copy stood where I should have been. Smiling. She didn't speak. She just reached toward the mirror and pressed her hand to it. And my hand rose on its own. Like muscle memory. Like the body remembers even when the mind doesn't. And when our hands met the glass, we both whispered, "It's yours now." I don't remember what happened next. But I know what I've become. I'm still here. I clean. I eat. I sleep, sometimes. But I don't speak. I don't leave the house. The staircase no longer hides. The room is always open now. And the static? It's no longer noise. It's language. It hums inside me. Sometimes, I look out the window and I see someone in the field. Walking toward the house. Suitcase in hand. Confused expression. Just like I was. And I wait by the door. Because I know what the house wants. What it keeps. What it rebuilds in that upstairs room. It's learning. It's remembering. And it needs another voice. I'm no longer Dana. I'm just the one who came before.